The release of Monster Hunter Rise is finally upon us, and with that, I think it's the perfect time to count down my favorite monsters from the series. Aside from number 1, there isn't too much order here, so most of the rest of these monsters are pretty interchangeable in terms of how much I like them. There's very few monsters from the series I actively dislike, but I want to just highlight the best of the best for me. So even though you're not going to see monsters like Rathalos or even the Great Jackie on here, I'm still big fans of them. So without the way, let's begin. Someone at Capcom woke up one day with the genius idea to take a giant magma dragon and give it wings that spew balls of magma that rain down from the sky like meteorites. I hope this employee got the raise they deserve because the dire morales, just from a conception standpoint, is phenomenal. More than that though, fighting it in 3 Ultimate felt like a proper endgame boss with you having to switch from land to sea to fight it, all while dodging the falling magma meteors. The fight is a very memorable one for me and was probably my favorite hunt in what was my first Monster Hunter game. While I'm not the biggest fan of his armor set, his weapons on the other hand are sick and some of the best looking ones in 3 Ultimate. Sadly, the Dire Morales is yet to appear in another game since his debut, and I think it's definitely time to bring it back. Coming in at number 6 is a monster I've gotten well acquainted with as of late, as I farmed it a million times for both its high rank and G rank armor sets in Generations Ultimate. I like this thing for various reasons, the first being the aforementioned armor. Not only is it tanky with decent innate skills, but it also makes you look like a Gundam or a super robot, which if you know me is right up my alley. Besides its amazing armor though, I love how unique the Celtus Queen is as a monster. You see, you usually don't fight her alone, she's often accompanied by a regular male Celtus, and the two often even combine into one fighting force, with the male allowing the queen to take flight. But the thing that really gets me about the Celtus Queen and makes her the most memorable to me is the way she treats her poor male counterpart. The Celtus Queen will force the male Celtus to help her against his will, and sometimes she'll even outright kill him and eat him for nutrients. I remember my first time seeing this happen in Generations Ultimate, I couldn't believe my eyes. It was unlike anything I'd seen in the series before and instantly made the Celtus Queen one of my favorites. The Valstrax is a giant dragon with wings that expel dragon energy like engine fuel, allowing it to fly around at insane speeds like a jet or a mech. And that description alone is enough to make it one of my favorites. Then I fought the Valstrax in the endgame of Generations Ultimate and it became one of my favorite fights in the game. It primarily fights using his wings, and I was impressed with the creative way the devs came up with for its fighting style. It can of course use the wings as jet turbines to zip around, but what surprised me is that I can also use them almost like a pair of hands to slash, gore, and crush hunters. Not to mention its ultimate attack is one of the coolest in the entire series. It takes off flight and circles the area just out of sight, and then it comes crashing down on top of you like a shooting star while breaking the sound barrier. All this while its amazing theme plays in the background. And to no surprise, it has a nice looking armor set that's a nice and uncommon porcelain white color, along with some nice weapons, many of which use jet engine as a motif to create some sick looking effects. It's one of the coolest ideas I've seen for a monster in the series, and I really hope they bring Valstrax back for a future game. Moving on from the cool to the sinister, next up we have the Gourmet Gala, a blind monster that spews a toxin known as the frenzy virus that drives both humans and monsters alike mad with aggression. These things can be intimidating to fight the first time around, especially when it reveals its true form and its wings unfurl. The Gourmet Gala is cool on its own, but what I really like about it is the potential life cycle they go through. You see, Gourmet Galas are actually juveniles and are trying to reach their adult form known as the Shagaruma Gala, an apex predator that's more calculating, far more dangerous, and can use its sight finally. I must admit, they're quite beautiful too. To make things even more interesting, Gourmet Gala can actually fail this transformation and get stuck in a half and half state called the chaotic Gourmet Gala. Not only are they in a constant state of pain, but are slowly dying from their own virus. Pretty messed up, but also fascinating. I like the armor set of the Gourmet Gala. They're not my favorites, but they don't look bad. The weapons, on the other hand, are some of my favorites in the entire series. A lot of them have a demonic motif to them and really creepy descriptions that make using them feel all the more nice. Once you hear that air raid siren theme, you know what time it is. The Basal Goose would randomly invade any high rank quest in the world, and unlike a lot of other players, I actually didn't mind it. One, because of again its sick theme, but on the other hand, I just love this thing. It's a monster that acts as a bomber plane, launching down its own scales as bombs and mines. I'll never forget the first time I saw it in World. I had no idea it was in the game, so it was shocking seeing this new monster come out of nowhere and just start dropping bombs all over the place in the middle of an ongoing fight. It was one hell of a first impression and made it instantly one of my favorites. And then the Iceborne expansion added a new form of Basal Goose and Seething Basal Goose. The Seething variant has more powerful explosive, looks cooler in my opinion, and has what's probably my favorite monster attack in the entire series. It scatters bombs all around it while it descends into the air, and after the bombs detonate, it comes crashing back down to the earth, creating a massive explosion with its own body. I'm not too hot on the Basal Goose's armor, unfortunately, as it just looks like a knockoff Hades from God of War to me. Its weapons are nice though, the longsword being a favorite of mine from World. I really hope Basal Goose becomes a regular in the series going forward, as it's much more cool than Devil Joe as an invasive monster. I'm sure none of you are surprised to see the Thunder Doggy here, as it's a fan favorite. It actually used to be my favorite monster before I came across the monster you'll see in the next entry. Now, if I'm being honest, my reasons for liking Zinogre aren't as vast as other entries on this list. I just think it looks cool mainly, with its vibrant color scheme and jagged textures. And the way his hair stands on end when it's taking in enough electricity reminds me of a super mode from an anime character, which is a plus. Both his weapons and armor set are nice, but they're not my favorites. Unlike other entries on this list, this one gets a spot mainly off a cool factor. And when you're a giant thunder dog, that's okay. Finally, we arrive at my favorite monster in Monster Hunter, the Mitsutsune. While most monsters in the series are ferocious or imposing, the Mitsutsune is more elegant and regal, with its bright, beautiful fur and scales and graceful dance-like movements. The moment I saw it in Generations, I knew it was going to be a favorite of mine. And then I saw his armor sets, the gunner one in particular that gives you a fox mask. And I kid you not when I say this is the reason I picked up my first ranged weapon in the bow, just to wear the Mitsutsune's armor. No other monster has ever made me pick up an entire new playstyle because of how much I liked his armor appearance, which further solidified my like for the Mitsutsune. And to no surprise, his weapons are gorgeous, many sporting vibrant sakura petal themes that really catch the eye. And to top it all off, the Mitsutsune has what's probably my favorite song in Monster Hunter with its heavily Eastern inspired theme song, and they somehow made the theme even better in Rise. Add all these amazing factors together and the Mitsutsune is without a doubt my favorite monster in Monster Hunter. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. What are some of your favorite monsters from the series? Be sure to let me know down in the comments below, and if you liked the video, do me a favor and leave a like and share it with your friends. It really helps the channel and I appreciate it so much. The goal for 2021 is to reach 5,000 subs here on YouTube, and with your help I know we can achieve it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you later.